Investigator Roger Alvarez III spent 160 hours mapping his family tree, only to hit a massive dead end. A 1911 marriage record in Guanajuato, Mexico, pointed his ancestry toward the Garcia surname, but the biological trail went completely cold. Digital genealogy platforms often fall into the same name trap. Algorithms see common identifiers like Garcia and blindly merge distinct families. In Roger's case, the software linked his family to a Guanajuato lineage, located 400 miles south of his family's actual oral history in Nuevo León. Historical ledgers, especially from the colonial era, are notoriously messy. Surnames were assigned by administrators, misspelled, or simply guessed, creating a paper trail that directly contradicted the stories Roger's family had passed down. To bypass the flawed paperwork, Roger abandoned digital documents and turned to autosomal DNA testing to map out the actual biological timeline of his ancestors. When physical archives are compromised by human error and digital algorithms connect the wrong dots, the genetic code locked in our cells provides the only unalterable record of human identity. The DNA results immediately invalidated the Guanajuato connection. Instead, the genetic markers clustered intensely in the central Mexican states of Hidalgo and Querétaro. This image highlights the specific Otomí and Nahua cultural continuity of central Mexico. Roger's genetic signature maps directly to this specific indigenous heritage. This is the ancient Mesoamerican city of Teotihuacan. Long before the Spanish arrived, or modern state borders were drawn, these communities established an ancestral footprint dating back thousands of years. By the mid-1600s, these lineages were already appearing in the colonial silver mining records of Guanajuato. These populations survived the Spanish conquest by adopting European surnames while maintaining their specific genetic continuity. Centuries of colonial restructuring altered their names and geography, but beneath those layers, this family tree rests on a resilient, ancient bedrock. Moving forward to the 19th century frontier of Nuevo León, the historical paperwork becomes highly entangled. Roger uncovered a glaring contradiction regarding his grandfather, Rogaciano Alvarez. The written records confused his true parentage, frequently intertwining his lineage with the Garcia surname. This chart shows a massive 58 megabase pair block on chromosome 9, isolated using autosomal DNA triangulation across 12 descendants. These red segments bypass the man listed on legal documents, Juan Garcia, linking precisely to the Alvarez line, confirming Samuel Alvarez's biological paternity. Juan Garcia was the family's social father. He provided stability and guided their migration, while Samuel Alvarez was the biological father who passed down the actual genetic code. Identifying Samuel Alvarez clarified the paternal ancestry, but it also exposed a massive gap. The identity of Rogaciano's maternal line remained completely blank. The investigation eventually pivoted to Rogaciano's middle name, Bernal. In historical indexing, a middle name like Bernal could represent an informal adoption, a secondary paternal inheritance, or a maternal surname that standard U.S. record-keeping simply erased. Digital searches yielded nothing. Roger had to locate and manually parse an unindexed, handwritten 1878 civil birth registry from the small Mexican municipality of Carreta Jimenez. Buried in the Spanish cursive was a single crucial entry. The document explicitly listed the child's maternal grandmother, Dolores Bernal. The record proved the Bernal name was a carefully preserved matriarchal inheritance. This discovery identified Maria Bernal Garcia as the central genetic anchor for the entire lineage. With the biological and historical records finally aligned, we can trace Maria Bernal Garcia's physical path northward. Her migration out of Mexico coincided with the intense violence and upheaval of the Mexican Revolution in the 1910s. Crossing the border, the family integrated into the established vaquero ranching culture of South Texas, working vast tracts of land. Following agricultural and railroad labor routes in the early 20th century, Maria eventually moved the family into the rapidly expanding city of San Antonio. This specific migratory phase served as a critical bridge. It carried a family with deep agrarian indigenous roots straight into the current of modern America. By 1930, the family began their final push northward, leaving the Texas ranching frontier for the industrial Midwest. The definitive proof of this transition lies in the 1950 U.S. Census for Buena Vista, Saginaw County, Michigan. The enumeration ledger explicitly captures Maria living under the same roof as her son, Rogaciano, solidifying the endpoint of a journey that began 4 centuries earlier. Working the assembly lines and factories, the family firmly established themselves within the growing Mexican-American industrial diaspora of Michigan. Today, the DNA clusters of living descendants thriving in Saginaw validate every step of that journey. They serve as physical, living proof of the migration. The investigation bridged the gap between the 1600s mining settlements and 20th century automotive factories. By identifying Maria Bernal Garcia, Roger turned a fragmented history into a continuous 400-year narrative of resilience, connecting ancient Mesoamerica to modern Michigan.